Hi, this is Dustin Ellis, and what this video is going to show you how to do is create a controller for importing a .csv file as well as a VisualForce page. We will then take that VisualForce page and import it into the Salesforce community, which will effectively allow you to achieve the functionality requirement of importing a list of students and automatically enrolling them in one of the courses. So this video may move into a two-part video just because there's a lot of details here. Basically, one of the conclusions that my team and I have made is that although Community Builder does accomplish most of the user interface requirements for this project, again, what we're building is an attendance management system. One of the things that it does not allow us to do, one of the things that Community Builder does not allow us to do, is add very specific functionality. And that really required us to conduct an inventory of alternatives, at which point we decided that yes, as one of my colleagues pointed out in the Community Builder video in the comment section, we indeed are going to have to do a little bit of coding in order to allow the user, in this case the professor, to go to a tab called Import Data and either import students, which just imports a list of students. It does not enroll them in a course. That import functionality, all it does is it imports a student and populates them in the student's object. It does not enroll them in courses. Now you may say, well, I want to import a list of students and automatically enroll them in a course that exists within the system, such as process management. That's what this tab is for, import and enroll students. I want to show you how it works before we go into the code because I think that it will make more sense if I show you the functionality first and then we move into the code and show you how to implement that within your own system. So the way it works for us is we've created one VisualForce page that is driven by one controller which is coded in Apex. Sounds confusing, sounds complicated. It's not that complicated. So here, this is the VisualForce page, what you're seeing here. Everything in the gray box is a VisualForce page. And you may be wondering, gosh, how did you get a VisualForce page to show up in your community? Well, if I go back to the builder here, and I go to Lightning Components, there's actually an option here called VisualForce page. All you do is you click, you drag, and you can drop it on the page. However, as I've noted before, the same thing applies here with reports. You cannot create a VisualForce page from within Community Builder. That page has to be created within your Salesforce developer environment, which is what we're looking at here. So going back to the Community Builder, let's show you how this works. As you can see here, it says I've added an instruction section for this specific VisualForce page. It says below you'll be able to upload a .csv file of students, which will add the students to the system, then automatically enroll them in the course specified in your file. Before doing so, your .csv file should meet the following parameters, otherwise it will not upload properly. Number one, the file must be a .csv file format. Number two, and the reason number one it must be a .csv is because of the way that delimiters work. If we're using a different file format and we try importing it, the code in the controller is going to read that file in the wrong way, and as a result, you're going to get an error. So it must be in a .csv file format. It cannot be in Excel format. You may only upload 50,000 records at a time. I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. Number three, make sure that the headers match exactly and that there are no blank columns or rows. If you model the sheet below, you should have a successful import. I've added an image here. So basically, the way that your Excel file should look is as it's shown here. You should have a column. Now this is for our purposes. I'll show you how to customize it for your own based upon whatever fields you have in your objects. Ours is salutation, first name, last name, mobile, email, description, and finally, the most important part is course ID. Number five, note that the enrollment record is created by pairing the student with a course ID. In your spreadsheet, you'll need to populate the column for course ID with the course ID that exists in the system. If the course ID is wrong, it will not upload properly. Well, you may ask yourself, how do we get the course ID in order to create my spreadsheet? As you can see here, I have my test spreadsheet, my test.csv file here. This is all fictitious data I've just been messing around with. But you can see over here, this column, this is a critical column called course ID, and it has the ID for the course. Pretty direct. Well, how do we get that number? If I'm a teacher and I want to import students into the system and enroll them in a course, and you tell me that I have to have a course ID for the Excel file, that may be a little bit too much work for a professor to do. So that's why we provided the instructions here. If I go to preview and I go to classes, let's say that I'm a professor and I want to add students to my Java programming class. Well, what I need to do is I need to go to my class catalog within my system. It's being a little bit slow here. Let's see if this works a little better. No. Here we go. Yeah. All right, so we got our course catalog. All right, let's scroll down. Let's go to Java programming. Click on that course. And if you go to the course details for that course, you will see that there is a field called course ID. And we even have an information section that says this is the course ID. So what you want to do if you're a professor is copy that, paste it into your test data. So now what we're looking at is these three people should be imported into Java programming if my example is correct, and I'm hoping that it is, and it will be because I've tested it. Okay, so let's save this as test context 5. Okay, great. So we have our test data ready. Well, now what we want to do is go back to that import sheet, import and enroll students. What it's going to say, if we go down here, now we can click choose file. So if I'm a professor, oh, the reason I can't use this is because I'm in a builder environment. See how it says back to builder? What you want to do is you want to open up the actual application. In order to open up the actual community, rather than opening up in builder, go to your community workspace. We're all pretty familiar with this page if you've been working with community builder. Click on the left home icon, go down and click view attendance management. That's going to open it up in a production environment, a live environment. So now that we have it open up, we can actually do all of the functionality. So we're not in the builder anymore. Let's go to import data like we just did, import and enroll students. Sorry, I had to take a pause break. So we're on the import and enroll students within the production application. We're going to click choose file. We're going to click test contacts 5. And then we're going to click import students and add to enrollments. Now when I click this button, the actual import should, it's going to do three things. First, it's going to show all of the data that was imported below this VisualForce page as kind of a confirmation. Second, if we go to the enrollments tab, those students that are imported should be enrolled in Java programming. We can check that within the application. And third, if we go to the students tab, those students that we're importing here should be imported and be displayed in the students section. That's how we'll know we've had a successful import. So let's go ahead and click this. And as you can see, if we scroll down in the VisualForce, you can see that we've added these three people to Java programming. And as a confirmation, just to make sure that they've been added properly, all we need to do is go to enrollments. Let's make sure that they were added to the enrollments list. Click on all. Your configuration and your system may look a little bit different. But what we're checking here is if those students were properly enrolled. And if it was enrolled properly, we should see Casey and Toby in Java and Anna. Great. So we can see that they've been added as enrollments. Enrollment ID 30, 31, and 32. So we know that the enrollment functionality worked. Now let's make sure that they were imported as students in the system. And we basically we follow the same process in order to ensure that that worked. Actually here we can see that we don't even need to do that. We can see them right here, the first three, Anna, Toby, and Casey. So they were imported successfully. So that's really how the import data functionality should work. One of the things I'd like to note is if we go back to the import enrollments, import and enroll students VisualForce page, this page is totally customizable. You can do VisualForce page as you'll see here in a moment. I'm going to create another video for the coding portion. This video is really just a demonstration of the functionality to show you that it works, and then I'm going to create this second video as an example of how to actually code that. So in this video right here, this is a VisualForce page. You can customize this with basically, you can center everything, you can change the coloring. It's very, very similar to how we created our views using HTML and CSS in NetApps. Very similar. That's pretty much it for this video. I want to go ahead and recap, and then in the next video we'll go over the coding portion using Apex. So this is a VisualForce page. Congratulations, we created a VisualForce page. You see how VisualForce pages work. As a recap, in order to import your data, I would recommend adding it as a tab on the tab menu called Import Data. You really don't need this first option. What you really want is import and enroll the students. You don't just want to import students. It's not going to enroll them in anything. So you want to conduct with one fell swoop. When you upload a CSV file, you want to be able to import those students and add them to the Students tab, but you also want to enroll those students within the Enrollments tab. As a professor, in order to do this, once the professor is looking at the system, all you do is you go to Import and Enroll Students, you scroll down, here's your VisualForce page, follow these instructions. If you don't follow them, you're not going to have a successful import. Once you read the instructions, you'll notice, you see down here in this image, hey, there's the course, this is how my data has to be formatted. I see that I have to have a course ID with that import that's associated with the course that I want to import these students into and enroll them in. Makes sense. Well, where do I get the course ID? Okay, I'm a professor. What I need to do is I need to go to classes. I need to scroll down and select the class that I want to import those students into. Let's say network-based application development. And then in that course, I'll scroll down and to the course details, and I will copy this field called course ID. Copy it, paste it into your test data here, save it, and then you can upload it. Simple enough. Last point on this video before we go into the coding video next. You may not have course ID displayed as a field here, and that is probably going to snag a lot of you. So here's how we're going to do it. If you want course ID to be displayed in your system, go to Courses, and click on one of your courses. Go to Edit Page Layout. Now notice that I have course ID here as a field. As a forewarning, normally you could click this, drag it, and drop it down here so that it's displayed on your page layout. However, you're not going to be able to do that because course ID is not a standard field that's up here. So how did I accomplish it? How did I get course ID to display here? Because chances are it's not displaying for you. What you need to do is you need to go to Courses. You need to create a field using a formula called course that selects the course ID. How do we do that? Let's go ahead and click New Field. We have about 45 seconds left. We're going to click Formula. We're going to click Next. We're going to go down and click Text. We're going to click Next. And then we're going to enter a value here. Here you would enter course ID. Click Next, and the formula you want to enter is basically inserting the ID of the course. So course ID, insert. And then you just want to click Next and save that. And that's basically going to add it as a field for you for the course ID. So that's it for this video. Next video is coding.